Good morning, you lovely lot. So, I'm out fishing. I'm actually going out fishing. It's the day after the river season has started, so I'm going to start there. I'm going to go to a river on my ticket and see how busy it is. That's going to be my only worry, is that it's going to be really busy and I'm not going to be able to get on the river. But I've got contingencies, so I've got a couple of rivers to try. If I can't get on them, then I've got a lake. I've got some surface kit with me. I've got everything I need just in case. So we should be all right. Yeah, so I'm starting off up in Farnham or near Farnham on the River Way, and we'll go from there. So hopefully we'll be able to get some fish. Today's weather not looking too bad. It's not actually looking like it's going to be really sunny. It's just going to be muggy, but I can deal with that. So well, let's get to the river to start with. Get fishing. Well, I seem to have a space on the river. I haven't gone over the bridge, so I know that in the book it said there's parking either side of the bridge. There's a little lay-by. This lay-by, I don't even think you'll get a car behind me. I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully not, because otherwise they'd have to squeeze in. I don't really want that. But I can't see if there's any cars over the bridge or not. I don't even know how we get to the river. I know there is a stile that you jump over somewhere. I'll go find that. Actually, I'll probably better check where I can actually fish, which way, because I think there's only a section. It's like a 1.5 mile section, so it should be okay. So I'm only set up for trotting. That's all I'm going to do today with some trusty magwars, and hopefully we can catch some fish. Not fished the Riverway for quite some time. I fished the free section of the Riverway in Farnham Centre. Maybe last year, I think, something like that. But, well, let's get the kit out, get the Polaroids on, see what happens. No cars at all in either of the lay-bys. Now I can see behind me here a little walkway that goes to all the swims. That seems to be a fence, unless there was another way to get across, but I didn't see it. Maybe you walk up here and maybe there's a gate or something. But I can see they've obviously been through there with the mower and mowed it down for people to walk along, but this bit not so much, so it's making me wonder. Well, look at it behind me. Makes me wonder if there was another bit to get through. Don't really want to just keep walking along someone's field. Let's go and have a look, I think. We'll go back. But I just can't see where you could have got across, because the entrance into this bit was right next to the bridge. All kinds of cobwebs and stuff around me. Yeah, there's definitely no way down there from up there. So yeah, it must be along here, and then you kind of double back on yourself, I assume, but it's not ideal with a made up rod and everything, dragging it through all this foliage. Right, let's get through this see if we can find where we're supposed to be going. We have a gate with a padlock on. So I'm assuming, it says 1.5 miles. That's not 1.5 miles. I'm assuming we do this bit, unless you can walk down there and along. Right. Well, that was quite hard work getting through all that. Covered in God knows what now. All right, let's get the key. I'll find the key in my bag and get in. I'm just going to walk down this bank, see where this goes, see if this brings us out on a new section. Oh yes. There we go. So we walk through there and go along there, by the look of it. It is a lovely looking bit of water. I think if we walk down here, we'll start towards the beginning of the beat. And see. Oh, pigeon just flew off and scared the absolute crap out of me. Yeah, the swims look alright. I wasn't sure whether... Oh, there's a nice deep hole there. Yeah, it's very... they did say in the book, and I was reading up about this, it's quite shallow in the main, which I could see sort of along behind me there. It is pretty shallow. The idea is to find the holes, the deeper holes, and fish them. Now, I don't think there was a chance of a barbel on this stretch. Not that I can remember seeing anyway. I think we are looking at chub, roach. The chance of a grayling, but it sounded like that was quite unlikely. Where am I going? I'm going into a tree here. Usual suspects, I'm sure there's gudgeon, and but there's also quite a lot of trout. And I think there was one of the stretches, and I think it was this one, where there's actually a chance of a sea trout. Never caught one of those. I'm not even 100% sure if I'll be able to tell what it is if I did catch one. Right, well, this is the very start of the beat here. So it is quite a shallow section. So I think what we'll do is we'll move back up to that hole where it was a bit deeper and get things set up, feed the hole for 10 minutes or so with just a few magwars and see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping this is really good, or at least I can catch a few fish and I don't need to move on anywhere else, because this is what I wanted to do, but I assumed it would be too busy. Yeah, we'll start here. This looks lovely. Now, I've been feeding the river for about 10 minutes. I've got to speak quietly because I'm right next to the edge. This is going to be the first put in. Now, it's been a while since I've used my centre pin. There is an overhanging tree in front of me, so there is a chance I'll just catch that. But let's see what we can get. Okay, so first couple of problems. The float is not cocking at all, although this is what it says is the correct amount of shot. So I'm going to move the shot up. So it's a couple of them are under a bit closer to the underside of the float. Also, where obviously this centre pin hasn't been used in quite some time, the line was almost sticky, so it wasn't letting the line off properly. Bit frustrating. I do have hello. I do have another reel I can use, but it's in the car. Now we've got a tanglement. Good. Hopefully, when the reel line gets a little bit more lubricated, it will start to flow a little bit better. But let's give that another run through. If it wasn't tangled. God. There we go. Okay, take 200. Now you see, these maggots are very chewed, so there is something down there. I would imagine probably minnows or something like that. Hey, fish is fish, my first river fish of the season. But that has definitely been chewed quite a lot. The only thing I might do is this this river actually flows very quickly. So I'm wondering if this float is a little too small. So I might stick another one on if problems persist. Oh yeah. Stick float fishing. Not quite sure how that's even possible. Right, I'm bringing back weed, so I know I'm too deep. Well, I don't know I'm too deep, I know I'm in weed. Oh, God. I've forgotten how lovely, but also fairly stressful this kind of fishing can be. Tanglements. Yes. Fish on. Fish off. Oh no, it's still there. Oh, we're in a tree. All kinds of things going on now. Oh, we're in the bush down here now. And if I keep this, oh my God, I've still got the fish on. Oh, it's an absolute miracle there. There we go. First fish of the river season. That looks like a dace to me. Beautiful little fish. Well, at last. It's not the biggest fish in the world, but dace is a stunning looking fish. Just look at that. Absolutely lovely. Let's slip her back. Probably give it a few more trots and then we'll move on to a new swim.
We've come to that moment where our hearts need a conversation. We need to talk about
Right. It's actually just started raining, so let's pack a bit of the kit up, move down a swim or two.
'Cause I can feel myself, I'm falling, are you falling with me? And if you are, let me make myself clear. Stay a while, stay a while.
Boy, it is very, very muggy today. Unbelievably muggy. But it's not really sunny, so you can't have everything, can you? I think I prefer it to be like it is, the bright, bright sunshine. A little shower now and then would also be very nice. Let's just shut the old gate. Now, one assumes that I'm not the only one in this field. I'll show you how I've come to this conclusion. Pat. Pat. So yeah, there's definitely some cows. Those are fairly fresh pats. So yeah, we may bump into some cows somewhere along the line. Oh, just looking at the stretch of river here, it's not overly deep. But it's quite a nice glide. Can't see the bottom of most of it until we get slightly further up to where I am here. Then it starts to shallow up a bit. I'll give it a minute, give it a few casts. Don't think I'm going to bother chucking a load of bait in. I'm going to just go with just trotting the float through to start with. Let's just see if anything's there, I suppose. Oh. It's nice to have a little sit down on the old landing mat. Have a bit of water, because it is still pretty warm. Now the fishing isn't the best at the moment. It is probably due to this ridiculous heat and the fact that it's been so warm sort of coming up to this time. I mean, yesterday, God, well, the last few days actually have been absolutely scorching on. Today's the coolest day of the lot, but we've still got ridiculously high air pressure, which isn't going to be helping. But to be honest, today wasn't really about catching fish. I wasn't even going to record today. I was just going to get out and do a bit of fishing. I've kind of paused the YouTube channel for the moment. Obviously, when this comes out, it won't be very paused. But I've been having a few issues, if I'm honest. And fishing helps like nothing else, in my opinion, and in many, many, many thousands of people, I'm sure will be exactly the same. Now, I haven't really been much of a mental health kind of sufferer over the 41 years that I've been on this planet, but I have always struggled a little bit with anxieties. A few years ago, both my wife and my good mate Steve, the passionate piscator, would agree I had some
anger management issues, definitely. They seem to have subsided, if I'm honest. I'm a lot more calm now than I have been in, well, forever really. And it's just recent events that have happened have caused a few issues, let's put it that way. I'll explain a bit. So about mid-May, I got a new job, dream job, for a company I've always wanted to work for, and absolutely ecstatic about that. I'm still working for them now. It's not like anything on that side has changed, and I absolutely love it. And for the last 10 years, 11 years, I've had company cars, but this job didn't come with a company car, so I had to buy one. So I thought, for the first time in many years, I'll treat myself, buy myself a brand new Mercedes, and I absolutely love it. I've always wanted a Merc, white with black wheels, always wanted it. Obviously, I wanted one, for all you car nerds out there, I wanted one called a C63S Coupe. It's what I've always wanted, but that is, this car is going to be used for work, driving up and down all over the place. I've already driven back to Manchester and Birmingham and places like that. So yeah, a C63 or something like that was not an option. So it's got a bit of a smaller engine, but it is petrol, and it's beautiful. I absolutely loved the car. I say loved, like I don't anymore. I like it now, but not quite so much. And it was I got the car in middle of May, and so it was middle of April, towards the end of April. I'd had the car about a month. Drove to a local shop, like I've done many times before. I was just popping in to grab something. They didn't have it. I just popped back out. There was a fella there, stood outside. I don't know what he was doing really. He tried to grab my phone and my wallet, or my phone and my keys, and I kind of just pulled them back, and he made some kind of reference, you thought I was going to nick them. Thought nothing of it, and I said, and he started tapping his chest or doing something, but I didn't reference anything or say anything. I just sort of nodded my head and got in the car. At that point, he hit his hand on the bonnet. All I did was I put the window down and said, please don't touch the car. Started reversing out, started driving off. Thought nothing of it. Looked in my mirror and saw him running towards me with a very sizable tool. It was about 1/2 metre long of pipe wrench, old iron sort of rusty pipe wrench. To this day, I still don't know where that was. So I literally did not see him holding that as I was talking to him. So I don't know where that came from. It doesn't, unless my mind made it look bigger than what it was. But with the damage it done to my car, it had to be something substantial anyway. And he hit the back of the car, the back rear quarter next to the wheel, hard, and done a huge amount of damage. I mean, I might insert some pictures here if I can work out how to do it, so that you could see. Then I drove out of the place, called the police. I was on the phone to them, and I thought to myself, stupidly, as it turns out, I want to drive back past, because I want this bloke to get caught. So I started driving back towards it to go past it, so it's on my right. He clocked me. I saw him clock me. I put my foot down. He threw this pipe wrench, which then hit the door, this far underneath my open window, and caused another load of damage. Somehow between this, it also hit the rear driver's side door. I don't know how, but it did. So front door, my door, passenger door, rear quarter. Bad, horrible damage. And I was screaming my head off. I was on the phone to the police. I didn't know what to do. I was an absolute mess. My pride and joy that I'd had for a month had just been battered. In fact, I just spent 3 hours cleaning it. Yeah, so the police were very, very quick. Sadly, this crazed lunatic also took this pipe wrench out on 3 people. 2 of those, I believe, ended up in hospital. So the upside is I come off quite well myself. I didn't have any injuries. 7 grand's worth of damage to the car, but no injuries to myself. But from that came all kinds of issues, if I'm honest. Not really told many people, but my wife, she knows. And my good friend Steve, I'll tell him anything. Steve suffered with mental health issues. Steve, who's the passionate piscator on his YouTube channel, promotes it very highly. Or promotes fishing as a way of getting over mental health problems. So of course I confided in Steve, and he said, sounds like, because I was, no sleep from that point. I couldn't sleep. I kept reenacting it in my mind all the time. I couldn't concentrate. Every noise, every person that walked past me, I was an absolute wreck. Still not much better now, apart from when I'm here. This is peace for me. And Steve said, sounds like you've got PTSD. In my mind, I thought, PTSD, I can't have that. I don't know why, I always thought that was just something for, people that have been in the army. But yeah, doctor confirmed that's most likely what it is, but it's too early to tell that at the moment. So yeah, working through that. I've got some nice potent tablets now which knock me out for sleeping at night, which are good, but they're not the end game. So yeah, that's my little woeful story. Hopefully I'll work through it. I've got a holiday coming up next week, which will involve a little bit of fishing as well. So this today, peaceful river. It wasn't about catching fish. The fish are going to be the bonus. The video of it would be a bonus, but it's just for me. If I'm supposed to walk along here either. Oh, I don't think I am, that's a sheer drop. It's got a fence, this little fence around it here, but I can see the swim. I'll walk down here a little bit. So that behind me there, I've just chucked everything over the fence. It's right there, it looks absolutely stunning. Trying to work out how to get to it. Actually quite a nice bend here, so I'm hoping there's actually quite a network of bends here. It looks lovely. A bit overgrown, but just creeping around. Look at that. All the way along there. That's got to be worth a shout. There we go. Yeah, it's a nice deep hole there next to the tree. We'll try this bit up here first. There's a large hole there. Oh dear. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and be quiet when I get close. So I'll probably set this up a bit further back. And if I catch anything, I'll bring it over to the camera. But I just don't want to do as little movement and noise as possible. I mean, I'm going to be stood there. I've got nothing to hide behind, so it's not ideal. But let's get it set up and see if there's anything anything at home. Wow, she's no monster, but it's a fish, and it's very, very hard at the moment. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful little minnow. Now, I do love my mini species, so even though that is an absolutely tiny fish, I'm over the moon. Absolutely over the moon with that. Now, this corner is very, very tricky to fish. It's deep in places, lots and lots of weed. All I'm catching is weed, and then this little fella turned up. So I think what we're going to do is we'll slip him back. We'll have a little meander down a bit further, see if we can find a more suitable spot. Lovely. Now, to be fair, I think anywhere that I fish today will be incredibly difficult because of the conditions. So I'm not going to try and break my back and go all over the place because I just don't think it's worth it. I'm happy now, just, walking around. Had what I call a nice bit of me time. My Polaroids keep slipping down my nose. So much sweat. Yeah, it's nice, just travelling nice and light. If anything, this backpack is a little bit overkill, but I needed something to carry sort of a couple of litres of water, which I'm going to stop and have some more of in a minute because I am gasping. And it is important, and I'm sorry, I thought I saw a big fish in the margins, but it was weed. And I'm as guilty as anyone of not drinking and eating whilst fishing. But you need to drink, especially me. I get headaches and migraines and stuff. This little spot looks delightful but dangerous. Let's give it a go. Warm. Well, turns out this is the end of the beat. Behind me there is where it stops. So, last chance saloon really. I'm going to, it's quite a nice glide this, it's quite deep. Oh, that's better. Yeah, so I'm going to sort the rod out whilst throwing in some magwars at the same time. And hopefully we could get another fish. We'll see what happens, I suppose. But yeah, I think this river does look absolutely beautiful, and I think coming into autumn it will be absolutely brilliant. It's just a little too hot and a little too much air pressure at the moment. There's a campsite opposite me. Looks like a little glamping type one. And they're all looking at me like I'm some kind of nut job. Not far from the truth. Alright, let's get this set up. Let's see if we can catch something else. definitely got a fish. I can't actually believe what I've just caught. I thought when I was playing it, probably a trout. But this is actually if I can get the hook out. This is actually a little barbel. Look at that. That's fantastic. Probably the smallest barbel I've ever had out of a river, but it's also the first barbel I've had out of a river in years. So absolutely blown away. Absolutely brilliant. It's a bit of a battered old thing, poor young thing, but what a fish. Look at that. I'm over the moon, but it's very hot, so let's get it back. Now, as always, even though this is just a little barbel, he fought very hard for his size. I'm just going to hold him in the net for a minute. It's quite deep, or quite steep, down to the river here, so the last thing I want to do is cause any harm, more harm than it's already got, to the fish. He looks pretty good now, so let's weave him into the current a little bit. And there we go. Excellent. I'm literally over the moon with that. It's a real good sign as well. I mean, I've never caught a barbel out of the River Way. I don't even know if they were listed as a species on this section. That's fantastic. I mean, I may not catch anything else out of this swim now, but I'm going to have a little go and see what else comes along with my sort of... I haven't got very long left, and to be fair, I'm not fussed. I'm blown away with that, I really am. Let's see if we can catch one more before we go. Well, that's all from me today. It is way too hot for me. My God. Walking back to the car is a sweat fest. It is not nice. Conditions are horrendous for this type of fishing, but we managed some fish. That's all I can ask for, and I've had a very chilled few hours fishing. And that's just magical, absolutely magical. We'll definitely come back maybe later on in the year. It's a bit cooler, and have another go, because I reckon this has the potential to be a decent chub river, because it's got all the spots, it's got all the deep runs. I just think they're all hidden away at the moment. But there we go. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.